Have you ever felt stuck in life? I've literally wasted almost 2 years of my life feeling stuck in the same exact spot, feeling like I could get some good days here and there, but I could make no consistent progress, and I didn't really know why. I did 2 dopamine detoxes, one for 12 months and then one for 7 months, and I tracked everything in my life. And after literally compiling the data and analyzing it and looking it over and reflecting, I believe that I came upon a trap or a mindset that kept me in the same spot for what felt like forever. Without me knowing, this degrading mindset seeped into my spiritual life, into my productivity, my health, every facet of my day-to-day. And this might be happening to you. So you and I, let's go over a framework that I have and continue to use that forces you to make consistent progress. Progressive overload is the foundation of making progress in your life. Progressive overload is just incrementally increasing the load or intensity of whatever you're doing over time. If you go to the gym, you know this term really well. Every workout, you're supposed to add a little bit more weight or do a few more reps. And if you focus on doing this well, it will literally guarantee that you make consistent progress. This is the key, but it really applies to any area of your life. This is how you make progress in your discipline and your productivity and your habits, in any skills you want to learn. When I try to apply this concept of progressive overload to making YouTube videos, it's that each YouTube video, I try to use a different principle. I try one new thing different. But in that process of pursuing progressive overload, inherently it kind of requires you to start tracking to see that you're making progress. And this is where the trap lies. Now, let me be clear, tracking is super helpful. It's necessary. It helps you stay consistent. It helps you build a pile of evidence upon which you can use to help improve your self-image. But the trap that I want to talk to you about in this video is what happens when you get into the consistent habit of tracking your progress. And so back to when I did a couple dopamine detoxes, the first dopamine detox, I tracked how many times I relapsed. And the second thing I tracked was how much time I spent on instant gratification. When I did the second dopamine detox, I tracked how much time I spent on instant gratification, but also what % of my timetable did I follow each day. And I got into that habit of tracking. It kind of went on autopilot. I stopped putting effort into what the purpose of tracking was, which was to track each day and then slowly and incrementally spend less and less time on instant gratification, such as like YouTube videos, video games, social media, whatever. But since I got into the ritual of it, I just tracked to track. I wouldn't follow through with the purpose of what I was doing. I would just mark the box. And this is the trap, letting yourself track your life without mindfulness and intention. It's dangerous because if you're not watchful and if you're not mindful, tracking is not just useless, but it makes you feel productive. It makes you feel like you should be making progress in the background when you're not. You can imagine my reaction when a few months in, I was like, oh, I should be making progress by now. I've been tracking the time I spend wasting time, except I'm not. I wasn't making any progress. I felt productive because I had a spreadsheet and I was tracking all of this data, but it wasn't doing anything. It was just me getting in the habit of putting a bunch of numbers in a spreadsheet. It wasn't me getting in the habit of actually intentionally decreasing my time spent on instant gratification. What you need to do is be intentional with your tracking. The fundamental principle that is at the core of the last 2 topics is intentionality. Every time that you're in your car before you go into the gym, you need to reset your mind and have intention with what you're about to do. This is how a lot of people who go to the gym plateau, is that they go there and just start doing the movements, but they don't intentionally progressive overload. And so they just stay at the same spot, feeling productive because they're in the gym, but they're not progressing. Intention is especially important in your prayer life. We're so blessed to have saints that have come before us that we get to read and know what they thought, and they can help guide us to lead a spiritual life. But many of the righteous men and women who have come before us warn us of empty prayers. There's actually, this is a quote from Father Seraphim Rose, an incredible contemporary monk and, Lord willing, soon to be canonized as a saint. He says, "The Antichrist is not to be found primarily in the great deniers, but in the small affirmers, whose Christ is only on the lips." You need to have intention in your prayer life. You need to know the words you're saying and have your heart and your mind be connected and praying in unison. And that's really, really important. So all around, you need to reset yourself before you do whatever action you're doing in life so that you do it with intention, because that is the only way that you're gonna make progress. This is how you're going to ensure that you are progressively overloading. Because if you're progressively overloading consistently, you can't not make progress. Do not fall into the trap of eating healthy, going to the gym, reading, prayer. Don't fall into doing those habits without intention. Because not only will it waste your time, but it will make you feel productive, which makes the regret later in life when you realize all of the time you've just wasted and lost way worse. A good way that works for me that I've found to reset my intention and reset my view on things is what I call the zoom out and zoom in method. Periodically zoom out and understand what your goals are, preferably your long-term goals. Break down and write down what is required to get there. Reset your priorities and understand what your next 5 moves are. This brings clarity on exactly how to move forward, but it also brings what matters to you to the front of your mind so that you can act with intention. I think it's either Tim Ferriss or Cal Newport has this, one of them has this great line that motion isn't progress. Don't mistake motion or doing something for progressing in a specific path. I really like the way he put that. In this video, I'm not trying to just make your life 2% more effective. I wanna give you a principle that can literally change the way you go about life. Being intentional about why you are doing what you're doing and your greater purpose is essential, especially so that you don't burn out or lose hope. If you are looking for something a little bit deeper than modern self-improvement that just tries to make your life a little bit more effective, a little bit more efficient, get you a little bit more material possession, click this video right here where I talk about the movement that I hope that this generation of young men subscribes to. I hope this video brought you value. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.